Speaking of the WNBA, who are you enjoying watching right now?
Who is everyone enjoying watching? Caitlin Clark.
I've said that before, but I do love her, but it was taken out of context.
Everything. I love her intensity. But I think her smarts, the way she reads the game, the way she passes the ball, the way she shoots the ball, she can get to the basket, change a pace.
I've always said that Sue is the one that, you are the best point guard I've ever played.
I am just so impressed with her, and how awesome. So I'm a fan.
You're the player that I actually got to play with, and I would wish I could play with.
Man, I would have loved to have played with her, as a point guard with that much vision and awareness. I've just never seen anything like it.
So I'll say that. I love watching her. I'm not sure I would have loved playing with her, though. I'm not sure, because I'd be like, pass me the ball. I'm open. Give me the ball.
All I know is I am just a huge fan.
The WNBA UCONN Mafia inner circle leans hard on Lauren Jackson and somehow gets her to walk everything back. Not long after she spoke positively about Caitlin Clark on the Sue Bird podcast, the tone completely changed. The shift was so sharp, it caught a lot of people off guard. Lauren Jackson had received plenty of attention for the praise she gave Caitlin Clark, especially because it focused on more than just shooting. At the time, those comments stood out in a league that often avoids giving that kind of credit. The contrast between what she said earlier and what came later is hard to ignore. There were clips floating around, but they did not get the spotlight they deserved at the time. Timing played a role, and there was a lot of other noise happening across the league. Still, when you look back now, the difference is impossible to miss. In her earlier comments, Lauren Jackson broke down Caitlin Clark's game in a way that showed real respect.
But just the game, just her game, the way she plays, the play style. What do you enjoy most about it?
Everything. I love her intensity. I love that. Obviously, she's a young player and still has so much, development ahead of her. But I think her smarts, the way she reads the game, the way she passes the ball, the way she shoots the ball, she can get to the basket, change a pace. And I feel like she probably has the pressure of the world on her shoulders, and she's still able to get out there and perform unafraid, no fear. Just what an athlete. I am just so impressed with her, and how awesome. So I'm a fan. But yeah, I mean, she's someone that I'm definitely watching. All I know is I am just a huge fan. Man, I would have loved to have played with her, as a point guard with that much vision and awareness. I've just never seen anything like it.
She talked about her passing ability, her court awareness, her vision, and her basketball IQ. The focus was on how she elevates everyone around her, not just how many points she can score. That is what made the reversal feel so strange. When she later appeared again on Sue Bird's podcast, it sounded like a completely different person speaking. The confidence in those earlier observations was gone, replaced by a far more cautious tone. For context, Lauren Jackson is not just any former player. She was one of the most dominant athletes in WNBA history, with multiple MVP awards, defensive honors, and a career that defined an era. That is why her words carried weight, and why the sudden change raised so many eyebrows. Lauren Jackson's long history with Sue Bird is important to keep in mind when looking at what happened next. They played together, shared locker rooms, and were part of the same inner circle for years. That context matters, because Jackson recently appeared on Sue Bird's podcast, and the direction of the conversation felt anything but random. The way the question was framed did not come across as neutral. It felt carefully positioned, almost designed to push a specific reaction. When you remember what Jackson had already said previously about Caitlin Clark, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore.
Is there a player today that you look at and think like, oh, I wish I could play with her?
I love Caitlin Clark. I've said that before, but I do love her, but it was taken out of context. I've always said that Sue is the one that you are the, but no.
I don't
no. I have to
I saw it. Babe, take it.
You are the best point guard I've ever played with, but you are completely different players to her. And also too, she's got a lot of development and growth to come, but I feel like you are the consummate professional. But I think the way that you are able to bring a team together and make a team hum, you're the player that I actually got to play with, and I would wish I could play with. So I'll say that I love watching her. I'm not sure I would have loved playing with her though. Like, I'm not sure, because I'd be like, pass me the ball. I'm open. Give me the ball.
I average like 5 assists. She averages like 8. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like she'd take a 3 instead of passing it to me, and I'd be like, no, mate, that's not going to work.
It's a pick and pop. I've heard that
It's a big
before.
pop.
Nah,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
It's not going.
Earlier, she had gone out of her way to highlight Clark's passing, vision, and ability to read the floor. She talked about how Clark sees plays before they happen and how she makes teammates better. She even went as far as saying she would have loved to share the court with her. That is not vague praise. That is direct admiration. On the podcast, that tone completely vanished. Instead of highlighting strengths, the conversation shifted toward doubt and hesitation. Jackson suggested that playing alongside Caitlin Clark might not work, implying that the offense would stall or become unbalanced. The implication was clear, even without directly saying it. What made it so jarring was the suggestion that Clark would ignore open teammates to take shots. That idea does not line up with reality. Without using loaded labels, the message painted Clark as someone who prioritizes her own scoring over team success, which clashes hard with her actual resume.
This is incredible!
It's the 19th assist for Caitlin.
This is incredible!
And Caitlin Clark officially has the most assists ever for a rookie.
Caitlin Clark's track record tells a different story. In high school, she led the nation in assists multiple seasons. At the college level, she continued doing the same, finishing her career among the top assist leaders in NCAA history. As a freshman in the Big Ten, she was already near the top of the conference in assists, proving early that playmaking was central to her game. That trend did not change in the WNBA. As a rookie with the Indiana Fever, she broke franchise records and set league marks that had stood untouched. She recorded the highest number of assists ever in a single WNBA game by a rookie and followed that with a record-breaking single-season assist total. These are not empty stats. They reflect decision-making, trust in teammates, and court awareness. That is why the podcast comments felt off. When someone with Jackson's experience suddenly shifts from detailed praise to surface-level criticism, people are going to question why. It did not sound like a basketball breakdown. It sounded like someone choosing their words very carefully. Whether that pressure came from loyalty, league politics, or simply the setting, the change was obvious. When the facts on the court say one thing and the talking points say another, fans are going to notice, and they are going to talk. The number was 319, and that detail matters because it makes what followed even harder to take seriously. After everything that was said earlier, Lauren Jackson suddenly tried to wave it all away by claiming her praise had been taken out of context. That explanation did not sit well with many people, especially after she shifted into comments that openly questioned Caitlin Clark's basketball instincts. The tone change did not happen in a vacuum. It happened while sitting across from Sue Bird, someone deeply tied to the UConn power structure and long-standing league narratives. When the conversation turned, it felt less like honest analysis and more like alignment. Clark's abilities were not just questioned, they were subtly diminished, despite years of evidence pointing the other way. What frustrated fans most was the timing. The praise came when it felt harmless. The walkback came when attention grew too loud. That sequence made it seem like the original comments were acceptable only until they disrupted the message certain circles prefer to protect. Once that happened, the tune changed quickly. There is also growing frustration with how Caitlin Clark continues to be encouraged to step into spaces that clearly do not respect her impact. Appearing on platforms tied to figures who have repeatedly downplayed her success only creates unnecessary tension. Many fans see it as self-sabotage, not because Clark lacks confidence, but because the environment is not neutral. This pattern has become exhausting. Clark gets targeted, narratives get twisted, and when supporters respond, they are framed as the problem. The cycle repeats every time. One side throws the first shot, then suddenly plays the victim when people push back. That playbook is old, and fewer people are buying into it. Online reactions made one thing clear. Many viewers questioned whether Lauren Jackson had actually been watching Clark play. Caitlin Clark holds assist records at nearly every level she has played. Her passing numbers are public, documented, and impossible to dismiss. Suggesting she ignores open teammates directly contradicts the data. A common theory began circulating, and while it cannot be proven, it fits the timeline. After Jackson's earlier comments gained traction with Clark's supporters, pressure likely followed. Someone may have reached out and reminded her which stories are acceptable within the league ecosystem. Shortly after, she appears on Sue Bird's podcast, praises Bird's legacy, and distances herself from Clark. That sequence did not feel accidental. It felt coordinated. The message was clear without being spoken directly. Certain players get elevated without challenge. Others must be boxed in, no matter how strong their resume becomes. Fans are not asking for blind praise. They are asking for consistency. If Caitlin Clark's vision, passing, and leadership were worth applauding one week, they do not suddenly vanish the next. People see the shift, they understand the politics, and they are far less willing to stay quiet about it now. The implication was clear. The suggestion was that Caitlin Clark would not be someone you would want to share the court with because she would choose her own shot over finding an open teammate. That framing is what set people off, not just because it was harsh, but because it clashed so strongly with everything her career has shown. This moment highlighted the kind of environment many believe the league operates within. Power structures tied to certain programs and legacy figures still carry heavy influence, and until that changes, growth will always have a ceiling. Yes, Caitlin Clark has brought in new fans who will continue to support the WNBA even when she is criticized unfairly. But that loyalty alone cannot carry the league to where it wants to go. If the same cycle continues, where rising stars are undercut while established voices are protected, it becomes harder to convince casual fans to stay engaged. Support built on habit or loyalty only goes so far. Sustainable growth requires trust, transparency, and consistent messaging, especially when it comes to the league's most visible players. There is also the human side of this. Watching someone praise a player in detail, then reverse course not long after, makes people question authenticity. It did not feel like a change based on new film or fresh insight. It felt like someone trying to stay aligned with the gatekeepers who shape narratives behind the scenes. The more this pattern repeats, the more damaging it becomes. Fans notice when criticism feels selective. They notice when accountability flows in only one direction. Over time, that creates skepticism, and skepticism turns into disengagement. No league thrives under those conditions. After watching both appearances multiple times, it is hard not to feel unsettled by how drastic the shift was. The same person spoke with confidence and clarity in one setting, then sounded cautious and dismissive in another. That kind of contrast raises questions that cannot be brushed aside easily. Many people now believe that outside pressure played a role. Someone likely reached out and made it clear that certain praise did not align with the preferred direction. The solution appeared simple. Go on a familiar platform, reinforce the established hierarchy, walk back the earlier comments, redirect attention. That approach might protect relationships in the short term, but it weakens credibility in the long run. Fans are not asking for perfection. They are asking for honesty. When analysis feels shaped more by politics than basketball, it becomes obvious. As long as this behavior remains common, the league will struggle to fully break through. Real growth does not come from controlling narratives. It comes from allowing the game and the players to speak for themselves. Until that happens, moments like this will continue to fuel frustration rather than excitement. When you step back and look at the full picture, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. This was never just about one comment or one podcast appearance. It was about control. It was about who gets to speak freely and who gets corrected when their words drift outside the approved lines. Caitlin Clark did not change. Her game did not change. Her passing, vision, and decision-making did not suddenly disappear. What changed was the comfort level of people who benefit from keeping the league exactly the way it has always been. When praise threatens the hierarchy, it gets softened. When momentum builds too fast around the wrong player, narratives get redirected. That is why moments like this matter. They expose the gap between what happens on the court and what gets pushed in conversations off it. Fans are smarter now. They track the stats. They watch the games. They remember what was said last week compared to what is said today. This is also why so many people are tired of being told they are imagining things. Seeing a clear shift and being told it is coincidence only fuels more skepticism. The audience is no longer passive. They connect dots. They notice when analysis sounds filtered instead of honest. None of this takes away from the greatness of past players or established legends. Respect is earned, and many of them deserve it. But respect should not come at the cost of silencing or downplaying the present. The game moves forward whether people like it or not. If the league truly wants growth, it cannot rely on gatekeeping and quiet pressure. It has to allow uncomfortable conversations. It has to let new stars exist without forcing them into boxes. Otherwise, moments like this will keep happening, and each one chips away at trust. That is why spaces that focus on transparency matter more than ever. If you want unfiltered breakdowns, real context, and conversations that do not bend to politics, that is exactly what Courtside Leaks is built for. No spin, no protection of narratives, just the game, the facts, and the stories behind the curtain. The future of basketball will not be decided by who controls the microphone. It will be decided by who tells the truth and who the fans choose to believe. We've got every angle covered, every leak, every backstage twist, every moment they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.